Cyrus from Man, what is up, dude? How are
Hey,
you?
bud. Good to see you.
That is quite the control room you have there.
Yeah, there's a project room. This is um this is a weird collection of toys. A
It
lot
looks
of little
amazing.
things. Don't have like the big synths or stuff. I've got like my Rhodes and some other fun stuff, but a lot of pedals.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like it. A lot up on the wall and a lot of different baby keyboards.
Yeah, it was like I feel like with the baby stuff and the like little things like pedals, it's a lot easier to mix and match and grab things just for like a minute.
Yeah.
It's not like a whole commitment. I like combining sounds.
Yeah, that is awesome. So with the well, first of all, I got to say I'm a huge fan of the band and a huge fan of the new album, which I have been rocking constantly.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so I know that you play a lot of different instruments, but did you use all of the things in this room on there?
Yeah, pretty much. Like I have a alto sax here that I learned to play for the record. Um,
Whoa.
a clarinet I did a little bit of. There's like melodica on the record. There's a lot of instruments I also just don't own that I got a chance to do that the band has had over time. Like there's a tiny bit of banjo. There's quite a bit of marimba, and I never played marimba before the group. Um, but like when I joined in, there were all these instruments that Honus had been collecting for the past decade or 15 years or so that we got to put to use. And yeah, it was really all about like let's add as many sounds as makes sense. Let's bring in a string quartet for some songs. It was really like um, really out there, like not even thinking about like the live versions for a lot of it, and just trying to get back to that part of Man's sound, because like I was a fan before I was in the band, and they had this whole journey from being this wild warehouse show sort of thing with like everyone switching instruments and stuff to like then a very focused and electronic sound.
Mm-hmm.
And so this project was like, how do we take this like much more mature songwriting and make it sound like a big rowdy live band? So there's like all sorts of horns and screaming and fun stuff on it.
Yeah, and that I think you nailed it, man. And did you
Thank you. I'm
record it
so
all?
glad that you like it.
Yeah,
Lots of fun drumming on it too.
I love it. I absolutely love it too. And I know that like Victoria, my wife, she didn't necessarily jive with all of the records prior, you know?
Sure.
There's some more noise going on and whatnot, and I loved it all. But
Yeah.
this one we both enjoy a lot. So
Yeah, I think it's got something for people that have been with Man since the beginning, but also has a newer appeal. And it's like there's a little bit of ELO to it, and just some,
yeah.
I don't really know anything else that's like it. And it was a blast to work on. It took forever.
Yeah.
Um, I
Yeah.
mean, we worked on that record for so long that I had two kids during like from when the record started to when it came out. Two children conceived and born. So that's crazy. But
Congratulations, by the way.
thank you. Yeah, so I'm really happy that it's out. It's a really weird time to put a record out. Hard to get buzz for it, hard to get ears on it, even with people not having a ton to do. But it's especially, I think, painful because Man is such a live band. And even, there were like tours last year I wasn't able to do. It's still like, a gathering, and people show up dressed like the band. And there's so many parts, even on the new record, that are really designed to be like sung along to or have chanting or you
Mm-hmm.
know it's missing that. So I'm excited to either play or see these songs live either later in the year or next year. I mean, what have you heard in terms of touring starting again?
I've heard a lot of different mixed um, ideas. Some people in bigger bands think maybe 2 years, even as far as like big shows go.
Mm.
A lot of people have postponed it, until October, but that's still seems like it might be a bit too soon. And
October's soon enough that like I know when it's October we're gonna be like, can you believe it's October already?
yeah,
Like
even though
all this time stuck in one place is kind of flying by. But that's also like what the painful part of it is, to be like, I can't believe it's already May.
yeah,
And we've
yeah.
been like this.
gonna be the weirdest summer ever, I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, but yeah, I don't know, a year probably, at the least. I I hope sooner, but if we're gonna be honest, I mean, the way that things have been handled hasn't been the greatest, so it's kind of gonna
Yeah.
set us back, you know.
Well, what can you do? I'm glad that the record went out, and I think that there was a real decision point for the band and label and everyone about like, do we go forward with this, or I think it would be more excruciating to be sitting on our hands and wonder when, if ever, would be the right time to put out the record. At least it's done and it's really meaningful for the folks that do listen to it, that buzz us on Instagram or whatever,
Yeah.
um, and are shouting out. So thank you for digging it.
Absolutely, yeah. And as I said, I've like when I first discovered the band, I just had like a burned copy of a CD, and I
Yeah.
had it on tour with me for like 2 years. And I didn't know we had played a venue, or more like a coffee shop or something, that Man had played a long time before. And they still, everybody that was there remembered the shenanigans. And I was like, I have to see this band. And I don't know why or how we never played with you guys,
Yeah.
um, but that never happened
It
somehow.
would have made a lot of sense, and who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows why? But
Yeah.
but yeah,
It just never
I had
crossed.
actually seen Man in like 2009, or I think, like haphazardly, unintentionally. But I had been aware, I think, since Rabbit Habits came
Mhm.
out, and same deal, burned copy of it, or it may have even been that actually a friend of mine I went to high school with, um, Stephanie Ward, sent me a couple songs over Instant Messenger in like 2006, 2005. Then she ended up directing this newest music video for the band, for Future Peg, with all these different characters and dancers in it and stuff. So she's incredibly talented. It's been this cool full circle for her. But yeah, I ended up stumbling into that show in 2009 and being like, oh, I know some of these songs. This is an amazing live show. This is like this huge gang of people playing. And then we ended up meeting like 5 years ago, did a podcast together, and we're like, let's go get burgers, then let's record some stuff for fun. And we cut like a cover of Danzig's Blood and Tears just for fun, and learned to work with each other. And then I ended up producing the Honus solo record, playing in that band, and then shifting that towards starting Man up again in the right way,
Yeah.
was a focus for like the last 4 years.
Yeah. That's incredible, man.
Yeah, it's just like, sometimes fun stuff comes up and you got to just go with it. And for me, I was like I felt like I was finding like a uh something that made a lot of sense for me in terms of who I collaborate with and taste, and like in some cases like the right fucked up sense of humor.
I was gonna say,
But then on the other side of it too is just like, I think that for Ryan, for Honus, it was like, if you're in a band for long enough, and I don't know if this was your experience at all. I don't know anyone else in that was in Larry and His Flask, but I think that enough people had cycled in and out that by the end of it, it wasn't playing music with homies anymore. And there was a need to restart. Some people got busy with family. Some people were resentful. Some people were just like, never really got along in the first place. And I think that he was like, had forgotten what it was like to just get together without the need for like a deadline or a labels thing or the expectation of fans, and just like record some stuff for fun. And that's like why I have any of my gear. It's like, I that's the thing I miss the most from pre-quarantine, is like someone just coming over to be like, let's cut a song in 2 hours, let's mess around, let's jam. and
yeah,
uh and that was like how this whole thing came together. There's even like early, like our first demos together was like me playing drums. I'm not a drummer. I'm sure that you I'm sure as a drummer you have feelings about drummers that aren't drummers that are drummers. But it's just a matter of like, make some noise. And I think that's part of the idea of the band before it was my time. It was like, bang on pots and pans, like do whatever you need to get the right sort of sound.
yeah,
And so there's a little bit of that in here.
yeah. And I actually think it's beautiful. I'm kind of atypical that way with music, and as a drummer. I think that anybody that can make a sound that's good and get it out there, however they can get it out there, is fucking awesome. So that's right.
Yeah.
I mean, drummer or not. And so what is your like strategy from going from an idea to the formulated like finished product of a song? Like, do you guys write together on this last record anyway?
Not exactly. There's like a rough demo of almost every single one of these songs that is like just the vocals and piano, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lot of, I think that, especially because we had demoed a handful of songs, and then I ducked out for a couple months as our first Goldie was born, and then you know, just taking care of stuff with family and some other work and easing back into like doing music again. So there was a lot of Brian just in a 10 by 10 foot room with a piano, playing the same song over and over for like 8 hours at a time, and getting it to a point where he's like, this is my songbook. These are like 15 tracks that it's piano and vocal, and it works, and it's got the right hooks and all that. And he'd bring that to me, and I tried not to say anything. Just be like, let's record it as it is. Let's get it even to a click if we have to, which we did. Like, we demoed everything to a click. Then later, after there was a band sound realized, most of the songs we went back in and recut live.
Oh, cool.
But we demoed to a click, and then he has always given me complete license to just kind of go nuts. So it'd be like, we've got these chords, we've got these different parts, and then I would go arrangement crazy, and either with like MIDI or my voice or grabbing different instruments, lay over at that, like the bass, guitars, other keys and synths, and finger drums, and put together something that like at least felt like what a full band version would be. And a lot of times it was like pretty much done or felt done. But that's like the best is when you have an idea that this is done because all the sounds are there, and then you bring in the other musicians to do it themselves, and it takes it somewhere completely different.
Right.
But yeah, basically I hear the finished version like immediately, at least what I think it is.
Yeah.
And I think that I've spent long enough producing stuff, and I'll give you this anecdote. Like when I was learning how to record and produce stuff, I got the Pro Tools sessions for like a number of Nine Inch Nails songs. I don't remember how I got it, but I got the full sessions, all the different stems, snare, kick, and all that. And once you get the chance to play around with a song in that way, and you hear all the various little tiny things, even just the hi-hat mic, you're like, oh, that was over there. And now when I unmute it, like it's like the only thing I'm paying attention to in the music. Once you start to like see that a song is made up out of a lot of different parts, you like never unsee it. Like when I listen to a song that someone puts out, I hear each individual part. I can almost imagine the process they took to get there, even if it was from like the 70s. I feel like I have like this astral projection where I'm in the control room and I'm like, grab that cowbell. And same deal with this. It was like he has such a strong vision for it. I knew exactly where he was going with it, which things would have like an extra sound effect over it or change the dynamics or whatever. So I just like, I work super, super quick. But then the reason it took like 4 years is like, part of it was searching for the right label, and ended up on Sub Pop, and they're amazing.
Cool.
But part of it was also like ease back into playing the songs, then we play it and figure out that something needed to be different and recut that. And then there was quite a while and care taken towards like some of the overdubbed things after the band portion was done. So bringing in like flute, bringing in a string quartet, bringing in some other singers, even like Rebecca Black is on the record. And then and then in some cases like the mix took a little bit of time, but got to work with someone that did some of my favorite records ever. This guy Husky Huskoltz mixed Tom Waits' Blood Money and some Michel Nadegocello and Mike Patton projects and stuff. So he was amazing for it. And at some point this thing felt done, and it was surreal. And there were moments where we'd be like, emotions would be high and low, and just like stages of grief with that the process was finishing, be like, what am I going to do now? But I don't know, it's exciting stuff. We're still just celebrating it.
Yeah, good. And you should, as you should. It's a beautiful work of art.
Thank you.
And it's one of my favorite bands, honestly. So I'm really happy to hear new stuff. And always, it's one of those things with me where I don't want to rush an artist, but I hope that it'll come,
Yeah.
sooner rather than later. And it's just nice to have fresh music in quarantine too.
Oh, for sure.
To
I mean,
rock out to.
it's wild to think that like 7 years since the last Man record. But I think there's going to be more fresh music. It's weird because like my day job is in like TV stuff and internet video stuff, and right now, like all for like film and TV, like everyone's putting out the stuff they already did. And there's going to be a lot of that. Like no one can work right now, but musicians can work from home like this, and hopefully it's a good thing. The problem is that even putting out a record like this with good label support, um, there were a lot of layoffs of writers, so harder to get some buzz. People are commuting less, so like a lot of people, that's like when they get to listen to music, when they're like by themselves in the car.
Oh, yeah.
So there's some challenges with it, but who knows? Maybe I think that this is something that like I said, when there's live shows again, we're going to be able to celebrate the record all over again.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Whenever that may be,
Yeah.
um, I will come and see you guys.
Sorry for
So,
planes. I'm like right next to the Oakland airport these days.
so you guys are
Um,
in Oakland now.
yeah. But it, I, at some point, I've like never, I mean, this is really comfortable, but I've never had a proper recording studio and never done things like isolated in the right ways.
Yeah.
And so like, there's quite a bit of planes and helicopters and fan noise and stuff like that on everything I ever record and mix. But it's just part of it.
It's flavor, man.
Yeah.
It's part of the flavor. I never noticed a helicopter yet, so I'll go back and try to pay attention.
I think there's a little more helicopter on the Honus Honus solo record.
Okay.
I'm sure you can find it.
Okay. I'll listen closer next time.
East LA. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, man. So how do you find Oakland? Do you like it there?
Yeah, it's good. I I've got like I had a handful of music friends here already. Um, like 5 years ago, I had toured with I was in Shannon and the Clams, playing like Hammond organ. So that was great. Most of them are still here, Oakland-based band. And through that, and then through also still playing in Shannon Shaw's solo band, um, got tight with a bunch of other musicians. So like I have I have two like best band friends here. There's two local bands in Oakland that mean a lot to me. One is Everyone is Dirty, which is this awesome, like they have like some 90s and grungy and psychedelic things going, but also like amazing violin playing. And then there's a prog band, like super prog, like they sound like Genesis or Yes, called Once and Future Band. That they have just become my favorite dudes, and I miss getting to go over and like jam with them or see them play somewhere around here. But
Yeah.
it's I feel like just as soon as I started to get enough of my like footing here, things shut down, and so
Yeah.
so we'll see. I'm optimistic that Oakland will be like better and better too, especially because um with the quarantine, I think there's a chance for the Bay, for San Francisco and Oakland to be less like tech than it's been. People
Mhm.
are going to be able to work from home. Maybe they'll work somewhere else, and there'll be a chance for artists to afford to like live and work here again.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. That would be nice.
You're in Denver?
Yeah, well, outside of Denver, close to Boulder. But yeah, we
Uh-huh.
were in Denver for the first year and a half or so that we were here, and then we moved up to this little town called Lafayette.
Yeah, yeah.
And we actually came out and saw Man when they played Globe Hall in Denver.
Last year?
Yeah.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
You might have
Weren't
seen
there.
my my double neck on stage.
I did, yeah.
Part of me is still there, even if I'm not doing the gigs live.
Yeah, that was the first time that I saw the band live, and it was really great. But I was hoping somehow that you would be there. I heard that you weren't going to be there, but you
Yeah,
got
I mean, I miss it a lot, and I think that like, you know, there were like kind of like two lineups ended up forming because there was like the six of us that recorded the record, and then three great like fill-in folks came in and were able to put their own spin on those parts. And now a cool thing's happening where we're like, we got to figure out how to play these songs in quarantine. And the nine of us have been putting together these different like quarantine sessions where if I'm not playing the part I did on the record, at least I can try to approximate like the string part or something like else like that. And so part of that has been just really cool to like combine forces and make like a big band out of it, because the newer players are really unique and good dudes. And then beyond that, it's also like, myself, like I had to duck out for family and moving and work reasons. Guitarist Brett had to is also like focused on some work stuff. He produces all the like Earwolf podcasts. And then Casey Butler, who was playing all the sax on the record, he tours with a band called Poolside. So like we got busy, and I think that part of the isolation and part of getting to play together again has been us realizing how much we missed it and how much we loved these songs. So hopefully more of it. Maybe next time there's a Denver show, it could be a 9-piece. Did the
yeah,
stage seem big enough?
not in that venue, no. It would
Touring with
have
too
to be
much gear is hard enough to set up. We played a stage in Reno called Holland Project, and and it was just like everything was wobbling because we had to make the stands really narrow and set up so close to each other. We were knocking each other over the whole time, but I wouldn't strip it down. It's like I remember when Ryan had to strip it down for the last lineup and the last record he was touring. It went from being a 4-piece with some like samples and tracks and stuff to then a 3-piece, and it was like, no, like
Oh,
let's
whoa.
never do tracks. Let's never like if it's going to be stripped down, it has to be more so that it gets more raw. But a
Yeah,
band like Man benefits from like 9 maniacs in Heaven's Gate cloaks screaming. Like you need it
absolutely.
as big as possible. It's like a cult.
Yeah, definitely. I love it that way. That's the way it should be for sure. And getting to finally see the band play uh, was awesome. And that venue itself was, we played there about a year or year and a half before that, and it was not a very good turnout. So I was like hoping that it would be, and it was totally packed for Man. So
Oh, that's great.
it was great.
But yeah, like you had stopped playing also. Has being stuck inside made you think about the road more?
Yeah, it's made me think a lot about everything, relationships with my friends and bands,
Hmm.
and going out to shows, because
Yeah.
that's something that I somewhat neglected over the last couple of years.
Oh, absolutely.
Took for
We've
granted,
totally
you
we
know.
totally became hermits.
Yeah.
Um, and and I don't know. It's just like I kick myself thinking about any time that I was like, they go on at 10, like I don't know. It's just like at
Yeah.
some point getting that type of old where I was like, my ears are gonna be ringing. I'm gonna be like, maybe I'll just like duck out before the set's over,
Yeah.
um, or just not go out at all.
Yeah.
Like I don't think I'll ever pass that up again. And
Me
I
neither.
miss
That's what
that
I was thinking.
from when I was younger. I remember going to see Iron Maiden and saying, I promise myself that I will never miss an Iron Maiden or Judas Priest or Guar show again in my life. They come through, I'm there.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just like I can't remember the last time I went to a show. I went to see Once in Future Band when they put their record out a couple months ago.
How many times have you seen Guar?
Once. I saw them once. I saw them once and I said, I'm never missing it again. But I had a good time. It was like, before the original singer died, and I went by myself. I went to a Ross, and I bought like extra, extra large white clothes.
Yeah.
Like a huge white sweatshirt, huge white sweatpants, and like cheap white shoes. It was like it looked so stupid. And I showed up to House of Blues San Diego, recognized someone immediately who was like, why are you dressed like that? And
See.
I walked out of it just completely, it was red from all the guar blood and green from some sort of alien genital thing. And I had a blast. It was like I was wringing it out of my hair in the shower for like days. And it was like, I miss that sort of like spectacle.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. Um, I honestly am, it's kind of unrealistic, but I'm like, yeah, we live so close to Denver that I'm never going to miss another show of my friends that come through ever again, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't know if that'll be true, but I am going to try a lot harder now. And I value all of that stuff because I've been a total hermit. I've been working at a tire place for over a year. And then
Yeah.
now this getting laid off has made me recognize that there's an artistic world out there that I need to reintroduce myself to and not be a hermit mechanic.
Well, it's like it takes a bigger priority over even figuring out how you pay the bills. It's like if that part of you is sorted out, then you are in the right headspace to do whatever else you need to do.
Exactly. Now I've recognized that I'm a much healthier mentally. I'm much more healthy and I've got it together a lot better. And now that I can interact with my friends and express myself artistically, and then I can
Right.
get a job doing something better than lifting tires all day. So
Yeah. Well, I hope you've been playing.
yeah, I've got a little keyboard here. It's not quite the collection up there, but I do that and I jam on the drums as well. So
Yeah. Good.
yeah, and then other ways of I've been writing short stories and weird poems and but usually I write about the end of the world, and so now I haven't really written anything.
Yeah. You got to write about the new one,
Yeah,
the new world.
yeah, exactly. So can you think of a good tour story? Like, what's your proudest moment on tour, or something that stands out as really good?
No.
Okay, what about
No.
really bad?
Okay, sure. Sure. Um, oh God. What should I don't know what I'm willing to share.
Right,
Um,
that's the hard part.
the look that I'm getting from Shannon just
You're
saying
married.
that. Um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that so a couple different standout things. One is like one of the worst and most disappointing shows I ever played um on a tour was it was like some sort of brewery gig. It was like they weren't actually, it wasn't a venue. There was a crowd there. It was a nice building, but there was they had rented a stage and they were trying to connect a PA and a mixer. And it was the Honus Honus solo band in Islands. And things were running super late, and the whole time things were going wrong. And there was my mic would work, but someone else's wouldn't, so I'd be pointing it to them and whatever. And the during the show too, people right up front, just on their phones. And at one point, Ryan sat at the front of the stage and just sang right to someone's face until they looked up, and then they looked back at their phone. And it was just it was tough, but it was something where I was like, if we can have fun with this show, we have figured it out. And it was actually a whole tour of things being set up against us, where it's we can either make the choice to complain about this or be like, how cool is it that we get to be on the road right now, even if we're just breaking even to do this, that it's the right thing to do.
That's that's
The
the
the I don't know. I've so that was one that came to mind. The oh yeah, I don't know. Do you
we call
generally do tour stories on your
yeah
podcast?
I've been trying it out. I see, just kind of try to shock people and see what they think, and then they, sometimes it's usually people that have the best stories are the ones that haven't toured that much, so they're not, it stands out more, so that they
Yeah.
have a few really crazy things that they've that have happened, and so they can easily access them. But I have a lot, but they're they're covered up in booze and years. Just a moment here.
Yeah.
Dogs. Yeah, but yeah, I try to bring it like talk about the writing process, talk about shows and like
It's just for
stuff like
me,
that.
it's like the shows are such a tiny part of the touring process. Like my favorite thing is like how quickly it gets normal to think like, cool, there's a show tonight, so it's so expected that I'm not even going to think about the performance. And I've got these 23 other hours where I'm hanging out with these people that I already know I get along with, but have never been in this proximity with for this amount of time.
Yeah.
And like, you know, we in some ways it came together in the right like musical way where it's like, great, let's like jam this like Megadeth song during sound check or something, or like we're blasting these songs in the van. But then in completely unexpected ways where it's like, we're in Chicago, let's go to this Russian spa. And like, what do you think Plotchka's is, or something like that? I like signed up for basically getting like, I signed up for this thing. They were like, oh yeah, this is like a very particular Russian massage. I'm like, okay, cool. And I was with the Clams at this time, when they're all sitting in they're all sitting in like a pool or hot tub or something. And this very old Russian man comes out and he's wearing like a funny hat and is otherwise completely naked. And he comes to me and kind of pulls me into a room, pulls my shorts off of me, like pushes me onto a bench and grabs these like soaked boiling eucalyptus leaf bushels and is just beating the fuck out of me like crazy. And I'm screaming, and the rest of the people that are just chilling in the hot tub are like, what is that? And then every like 3 to 5 minutes, he would stand me up, take me outside to parade me like past my friends naked, and then dump cold water on me, and then put me back in the sauna for more floggings for like 45 minutes. And that was one that after that all happened, it was a silent van ride to the next show. I think about it a lot. I feel like it was in a show recently. It was in like Ozark or something. This flogging by Russian. I had no idea it was a thing. I think it's called Plotchkas. You ever heard
I
of
have so
this?
many questions. I have not heard of that. I've heard of similar things.
It was eucalyptus bushels, just like beat the hell out of me. I just remember thinking too, like the next show, I was so sore. That's always something about tour. It's like I can play music all day, every day at home, but like when you're on the road, you're like, I didn't think I would get blisters right here. And it was just another. It's like, oh, I can't believe that like the bottom of my foot is sore. Um, I did there's certain things that like you might do during a show even that you don't realize how taxing it is on your body till you do it every night for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And so, with that band, I had a hi-hat stand next to my organ, and I was just hammering my like foot on quarter notes the whole show. And by the end of it, I was like, one of my legs is visibly bigger than the other. Like, how did that happen? But just the same, we played a show, and I was like, can't believe that right now, in the middle of a show, in the middle of like a sold out audience, that all I can think about is how sore my skin is from getting flogged with boiling eucalyptus.
That is
I hate
fantastic.
that story, but just for you.
Well, it's like it might be it's the best and worst.
Yeah,
all at once,
Yeah.
Wow. Well,
but yeah, this stuff comes up on tour where it's like, what are we going to do? How are we going to pass the time? What can we waste our money on? None of it is responsible.
Yeah, no. But yeah.
It was the
Flogging by old Russian.
That place was called the Red Square in Chicago, and I wonder if it still exists. I wonder if it will post quarantine.
Well, we're gonna do a follow up on that.
Yeah. Okay.
The bottom of it. I'm gonna
all right.
Call them and see if they're still there, and if they still do the flotkas or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for that story, my friend. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, bud.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Naked Russians flogging you with hot eucalyptus.
I got to really emphasize that he did not speak English and maybe did not speak Russian. He just seemed like he had been in the sauna for years and was just like laughing and just, grunting. And Yeah, it was like facing like the final boss of the spa.
And you made it.
I made it. Yeah, I survived all right.
Yeah. So you're on to
I'll
the next
address it
level.
in therapy in like 10 years.
Yeah. I've heard of other massage styles where they like basically beat the shit out of you. Not
Yeah.
necessarily with leaves of any plants, but just their own fists.
Yeah, yeah. No, and
Like on
because I lived in LA, it's like I'd hear about stuff like that all the time. Where a friend of mine went to go get it was called Rolfing, and I guess like a doctor did it and he said like you will feel the urge to scream. When you get that, you must scream. Otherwise, I will have to go harder. And they said it was like the worst feeling thing in the world, and that now they're doing great. But I feel like that's just a thing you say when you have to go through something terrible. Like, yeah, it
yeah,
was hard, but I'm doing better. Or like it hurt, but now my neck's okay. I think it was just deep tissue torture.
yeah. And when you pay a certain amount of money for something and you don't want to seem like a complete fool, so you say, "Yes, I'm doing better."
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
I'd messed my back up after we had our kid, um, in like an old man way. It was like giving her a bath or something. It was like, oh, went to a chiropractor who was obviously a former professional wrestler. Like so obviously, like maybe wearing like a unitard is how I remember him. And he
Big
kept
golden
going
belt.
like this when he was talking to me and said, I'm gonna put the moves on you. And it's gonna hurt, but don't be no pussy, but don't be no tough guy either. And it was terrible. It hurt so bad. Um, but I don't know. Yeah, pain is so close to pleasure.
You've had some very interesting massage therapy moments, my friend.
Yeah, you know what? I don't know what it is about me that attracts it, but
They just want to put the moves on you, man.
I'm gonna put the moves on. I thought it was so amazing. Obviously, I've never gotten that vibe from someone else before. Just like you are a professional wrestler. Um, he,
Wonderful.
yeah, he was like, you can call me doc, but I don't think he was a doctor. Are chiropractors doctors?
I think so. I believe so.
Okay.
But,
I feel like if you
but
go
I'm
by
not a doctor.
doc, you can like, you get that.
Yeah. You know, you can at least pass for one.
Yeah.
Pretend to be a doctor. So what is your favorite toy in that room?
Um, this one.
Oh yeah.
This one.
Nice.
This was my dream thing.
So where did you get it? How long ago did you get it?
I found that this existed on because in my old band Hot Karate, I used to play guitar and lead guitar stuff, and then at some point switched to bass, but was doing like lead bass. Like I'd do the bass parts, but during solo breaks, which were usually just like drums, I used this octave up thing so I could still shred it. But I missed playing guitar, and I was like, oh, that's cool. If it was a bass and a guitar, I could switch back and forth. And like I loved Rush growing up. I was like, okay, that's my dream thing. And so this is from the 70s, um, made by Ibanez before they got sued, from Gibson for stealing their
Head.
like design. I found it on eBay, and I got bid sniped for it. I like sold some gear so that I could afford it, and got my like money squared away to do this bid. I was watching it for like the last 60 seconds of the thing, and that like 59 seconds, someone else was winning. And I was like, oh no. And I fell into a deep depression and started looking for it for years. I was like, this white SG-ish 1970s bass and guitar thing. I was like, I picture using this. And then a couple years later, uh, I got like a Google alert that one was on Reverb and picked it up, and it's been like my favorite thing since. Just because out of one thing, being able to record really quickly and switch, it's also just a blast to play. So that's like my go-to thing.
That's really
Because
good.
I'm proud to be able to like switch instruments. It's less about this like shredder thing and more like I want to go from guitar to bass and whatever, and I don't want to like make a whole production out of it.
Yeah.
So if I could have some sort of crazy thing that was a guitar and a bass and a keyboard and a saxophone in once, then I think we're in good shape.
Yeah, and it would fit really well with Man Man. So
Yeah.
let's make that happen, folks. Let's get him this magical instrument. Well, I mean, you have the you kind of have the shop there. You can just put them together. I see all the things. We just need to glue it together.
Yeah, yeah. I'll get a glue gun.
Yeah, that's all we need.
I'll just glue it to my skin.
Yes, and then it can be a part of you forever.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Well, Cyrus, thank you so much for speaking with me today. I really appreciate it. And,
No, fun show. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I love that you're doing this, and I miss you guys. Hope to see you. Hope to see you playing. Hope to see Victoria, and smooches all around.
Yes.